AC/DC music?
Some sort of music.
Van Halen?
Yes.
You
Well,
down with Van Halen?
some.
Van Hagar? Are you Van Hagar or are you Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth?
David Lee Roth.
Okay.
That's the only name I knew.
Hi, folks. Welcome to our live stream. This is the Dr. Tiff and Jim. That was a complete shake up there. The Dr. Tim and Jiff live stream. The Dr. Tiff and Jim live stream. Feel great. And welcome to our live stream. We were just discussing musical tastes, and apparently Dr. Tiffany doesn't have any. So we're just going to move on past that subject. Don't know who Sammy Hagar is?
No.
Come on. Oh, that's so disappointing. Hi, folks. Welcome to our live stream. The Dr. Tiff and Jim and Feel Great system. And Dr. Tiff just checked out. I think she's having an internet connection. So welcome to the Dr. Tiff and Jim with just me here. This is our weekly live stream, and this is a fun time. I think you will see that this is fun. Enjoy this. If you've been invited to this live stream lasts about an hour. You've got a jester like myself, and then you have a medical doctor like Dr. Tiffany. She's having some internet problems. She'll be right back, I'm sure. So if you've been invited to this, if you've got a notification saying that a friend tagged you to this, they just think that this interview, this live stream will help you. So a little bit about me. My name is Jim Grasser, and I am just a random dude on TikTok. I got sick, really sick. I had a 12.2% A1C and a 459 LDL. Dr. Tiff would tell you that that's kind of like 1 foot in the grave kind of sickness. And I was able to turn it around. I got on a Feel Great system, and I've completely reversed type 2 diabetes. And when I say that, I mean I am completely unmedicated. I have been for more than 2 years because my doctor said I could be, and my A1C is now 4.8%. I wear a continuous glucose monitor, and it is a very flat, kind of boring line, and I love it like that. So if you feel helpless, or if you feel hopeless, if you feel like you're kind of stuck and you're losing the battle with your health, then this is the perfect live stream for you. So more than that, if you are on this system, if you're one of the people that's on the system, and you're wanting to share it with people, this is the perfect time to share it. Share this live stream with people. And the way that you do that, you type the little @ symbol and start typing the person's name. So if you wanted to invite your Uncle Bob Smith, type the @ symbol and start typing Bob Smith. And at some point, his name will populate in there and hit enter, and they'll be tagged. And the next time they log into Facebook, there they are. If you're on TikTok, which we are live on TikTok right now, just share it out to that person. If you're on YouTube, same thing. Just share it out on YouTube. In fact, welcome back, Dr. Tiff. Welcome back. Don't worry, I held down the fort.
I saw.
So I was just going through. I just introduced myself, and I was telling people to share this live stream out. If you are having an amazing experience on this and you want to share it, this is a perfect time to share it. You're going to have Dr. Tiff here explaining a lot of things. She takes what took her 20 years in the medical industry. She takes that and mixes it down so that somebody like me can understand it, and that's what we love about Dr. Tiff. So, Dr. Tiff. And let me add, if at the end of this live stream you decide that you want to purchase the products, just get with the person who invited you here. Get with them. They will tell you how to order it. They have a discount link, a referral link. They'll get a referral discount. That's kind of cool. They'll get a referral discount every time somebody buys using their link. And then if you get on it and you start having an amazing experience yourself, you can do the same exact thing. So, Dr. Tiff, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello. I literally was here, but my internet has decided, it doesn't want to work again. But you know what I love is I know how to pivot. So I'm excited to be here. I am actually a doctor who was board certified in lifestyle and family medicine. And I just decided I wanted to see people get better for real. I got tired of writing prescriptions, literally stopped writing them a couple months ago. And what I've been able to see is I've been able to see so many people need less cholesterol, sugar, blood pressure medications, and even be able to have that shrinkage that they've been working on forever. And they've been able to do it naturally with natural products. And so that's what I am. That's why I'm here. I was able to get off of my blood pressure medicine, help my brother get off his insulin, his Trulicity, his metformin, help my mom reverse her pre-diabetes. Actually, she had diabetes, but she wasn't willing to accept it. And then helping countless others, right, Jim? So who doesn't want to be here every Wednesday?
It's awesome. It has absolutely been the coolest thing of my entire life, watching the number of people just turn their lives around. More than anything, Dr. Tiffin, and while you had stepped away for some reason, I don't know where you went, but while you, I was kind of leaning into the emotion of losing hope, and people, I feel like, they start to get so sick and their health just starts to slide and slide and slide that they don't give up. But man, it's like, it's really hard to stay excited about waking up and you're like, I got to go back to the doctor again today, right? And as you were just talking, it made me think, I used to ask you these hard-hitting questions and I kind of got away from them. And I think everybody loves those hard-hitting questions.
Everybody who?
Everybody. Dr. Tiffany, and I've asked you this before, and I'm going to put you on the spot again, okay? I think there is this misconception that the pharmacies in the back pockets of medical doctors, and that medical doctors, they play a round of 18 holes before they show up to work, and then they go out to the finest steakhouses for dinner every single night. They work 3 hours a month, and all they do is write prescriptions. They really get reimbursed by, and of course, I'm laying it on thick, but I genuinely think there are some people that think that this is what it is. So, Dr. Tiff, would you really enlighten us to what it really is from yourself, and then maybe sprinkle in a little bit of, you mentioned a couple of months ago you quit writing prescriptions. What was that transition like? How painful was that transition like for a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. To say, I'm done doing that system. How painful was that for you to get from that point to where you are today?
Okay. So you came with it, a double whammy. Okay.
I did.
Well, okay. So I am a primary care doctor. And so I was literally the first line of defense. So when you would come for your physical exams and get your sugars done, I'd be the one diagnosing the diabetes or the blood pressure, the cholesterol. So if you think that we're getting paid and we're getting money in our pockets, I'd be the first ones to get it. So let me tell you, no, I wasn't getting any money. I wasn't getting kickbacks. There's laws actually to decrease the kickbacks. I mean, for a while there, we would get nice dinners or maybe, tickets to a baseball game or something. But as far as getting hands out cash, I wasn't in the era of medicine when that was happening. But because Big Pharma does have its hands in the guidelines that we're taught in medical school, that's where the cross hands of money, so to speak, can happen, because their hands are in that. And that's just from my perspective. I can't speak from any other specialty. But yeah, I did that for 20 years, even private practice. So no, I didn't get any cash in my hands. But I sure also had to sacrifice time with my family, my husband at the time, trying to be a full-time physician, pay for staff, pay for overhead. That took up a lot of my life. I wish I was over at the golf course just hitting some balls. I was not. No, that was not my life. I was missing games. I was missing band performances. I was missing cheerleading. I was missing all types of things. So no, I think that is the misconception that we're just living the best life. No, we are working like crazy people. One, because a lot of us have a heart to help our people. So that's going to take a lot of our time. Okay, so the transition. You brought up something else. The transition from doing traditional medicine and prescriptions, that was very difficult. It's what I've always known. So it was branching out into the unknown. That's why that was difficult. But it wasn't difficult, in the fact that I saw people get better. I saw people actually improve their sugars and get off of medications, which as a lifestyle, when I went back to get lifestyle certified, that was more of my goal and my purpose. So to be walking in my purpose to help people do the things I've always wanted to do, that has been the best thing ever. So yeah, I'd do it again and again.
And I always talk about, the first video I ever saw of yours, you basically said, I'm just tired of writing prescriptions. And then I'm just gonna lay it on a little bit thicker tonight. Something I don't think people realize is the attachment that a medical doctor has to their patients. When you see somebody coming in who's sick, and maybe you have written the prescription, and then they come back and they haven't made any sort of changes, they haven't done anything on their end. They're just leaning into you saying, give me a pill, give me a pill. What does that do to you as a doctor on your end?
Well, I mean, it saddened me, to be perfectly honest. One, previously, before I learned about these tools, I didn't have a way to help my people as much as I thought I was. And I take ownership on that being difficult for them to be consistent and have sustainability. But also you just have people that have just resigned to the fact that I'm going to have this problem forever and I'm going to have to be on medications forever. And that hurt my heart because they wouldn't hear me. And it still hurts my heart when I'm even on social media, on TikTok, talking about you don't have to, and people are arguing with me. It is sad. It's painful. Having a father who refused to take his medications and then passing after his third stroke because of not taking them and not making any changes. I hate seeing it. I really do.
The indoctrination, I feel like, is very, very deep. And you kind of mentioned, and I'm kind of going off. I'm going to get us back on track here, but I really like the direction this is going. The indoctrination, you mentioned that, the pharmaceutical and where they kind of cross over is in your education side of things. And they would fund the colleges and universities. They give massive donations there. They do. I mean, in a backhanded kind of way, they're seeing to it that their message is taught to the doctors, right? That you come out thinking that that's the way that it is. And I guess to that point, and we've touched on this once or twice before, but how many nutritional courses did you take? And knowing now that this is all nutritional issues, how many nutritional courses does a doctor have to take to graduate med school?
Well, I mean, I don't even think I had a full class. It may have been maybe a month's worth of education, maybe. But we are taught that lifestyle changes can fix this. We just don't have the right information on how to help our people. And I think also we just give up hope. We see people not be consistent, and then it gets logged in our brain that maybe this isn't going to work. So let me just give a prescription. I'll be able to see the changes faster. I'll be able to hit the metrics for insurance to actually give me a boost in my reimbursement, because they do when you can control people's sugars, blood pressure, cholesterol, if I just give them a pill first. And so I think that's the cycle I fell into. So I can't speak for every physician, but that's actually where I fell.
I appreciate you so much. I know that, guys, I didn't set up Dr. Tiff for this at all. I came at her just now but I think these are questions that people really want to know, Dr. Tiff. And I think that's what everybody loves about you, is that you're so candid about what it really is behind closed curtains, right? What it really is, where everybody, what we have, the misconception, that really is what it is. I think our doctors are amazing people. I think there are some bad apples. I think there's definitely some bad apples. But I think by and large, I think our doctors are wonderful people. I think they're really trying to do things the right way, but they're somewhat handcuffed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me get back on track. Dr. Tiff, I appreciate you. If I haven't said that lately, I appreciate you. Okay, a lot of people being invited in here. Guys, if you've been invited into this live stream, it means that somebody cares about you. Somebody thinks that the information in this live stream could save your life, or could change your life, or could better your life, or it's one way or the other would be a benefit to you to listen to this live stream. So listen, we'll be over in about 47 minutes. It'll be pretty quick. Take the information, get a pen and paper, and write down the information. Write down what you're learning. It is on every type of platform. We're everywhere. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, DLive, the Daily Wire, Rumble, Twitch. I mean, we're everywhere right now. This live stream gets seen by thousands of people every single week. So whatever platform you're watching us from, and you see that little head count, know that we're in about 15 other platforms too. So we're being seen everywhere, and that's what we want. So if you decide that you wanted to do this, then just get with the person who brought you here, and they will tell you how to order it. If you are excited about it, share this with them. do that by typing the @ symbol in their name. Dr. Tiff, I think we have two amazing guests here. I don't know much about your guest. I'm learning a lot about my guest. Who do you want to start with?
Don't know about your guest, but you know what? Let's just bring mine out and get it out the way for her.
There we go.
Andrea. So,
Hello.
hey, lady.
Hello. How are you?
Good, 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 good. I've gotten to meet this dynamic woman through Myra. And if you all don't know Myra, she's one of my favorite partners, my bestie in the business, really. And she actually connected with this lady here. But so she's somebody with a history of being an athlete, somebody who helps people with their financial health, but has also decided, you know what, I want my health better. And then why not scream it from the rooftops? Why not get on here like we do? And I'm kind of pushing her out her comfort zone. So make sure to show my lady some love, because this is new for her. So she's not like me and Jim. They don't have any problems getting our safe myself on the mic. We don't have any problems talking. So give her some love, and yes, go ahead and tell us your story.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be on here. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany, and the pit master, the healthy pit master. I really appreciate this time. So my journey started in February. For about 6 months, I had started. First, let me just say I am a gym junkie. I love to work out. I've always considered myself an athlete, and I'm pushing 50 this year. So I knew some changes were coming, and I started to feel those changes. And the thing that for me was I felt tired, and that's normally not me. I'm always the one that's getting up, going, and doing things. But with that tiredness, I felt joint pain. I had no energy. I had sweet cravings, and I love sweets, sweets. I love them. Any kind of baked goods, cakes, whatever. I love those. But I could tell that it was more than just wanting the sweets. So I also didn't have the focus and the clarity that I needed. By day, I'm a software engineer. In the evenings, I have a business as well. And I love to work out. But during the 6 months prior to meeting and talking with Myra, I did not feel that. I felt very kind of lethargic and felt like I needed a nap on a daily basis. So for me, that's what I felt. And so I began to talk to my mom about it. And she said, hey, I think you need to meet to talk to Myra. I said, she had posted something on Facebook. So she was like, go check her out and give her a call. So that's exactly what I did. So I met with Myra and I shared with her what I was feeling, and letting her know, hey, I'm usually on the go all the time. I stay busy. So this was definitely not working for me. So she started sharing with me the protocol and what it did. And she said, I guarantee this can help you. So I was sold right then. I was like, what do I need to do? So she went ahead and showed me what I need to do to order the product. And when I tell you the first 3 days of taking the product, I felt it immediately. I felt the change. One, I was sleeping better in 3 days. So that was kind of puzzling for me. When I would go to sleep, it didn't matter whether I was getting 5 hours of sleep or if I was getting 8 hours of sleep. It was quality sleep. Then I noticed I could focus, and my focus was amazing. I could actually get in there and say, if I had my little checklist of to do things, I did those things. And then not only that, I wasn't tired. I'm very caffeine sensitive, so I've never been one to really drink caffeine at all. But I noticed that when I start drinking the Unimate, I could just tell the natural. I didn't have any of the jitters. I wasn't, feel like I was bouncing off the wall. It was a sustained energy. And not just that, I felt good. I didn't have the bloating. I wasn't craving. By day 3, I wasn't craving sweets, and I knew this was it. I knew this was it for me because I didn't have that craving. I did not look for where's the next cookie that I could get. I wasn't thinking about stopping by Chick-fil-A to go and get their chocolate chip cookies, which I love. So I didn't have to do any of that. So by day 7, I was like, oh, this is it. I need to order this. This is going to be in my life because, again, I felt good. When I did eat, I didn't feel the bloatedness. I didn't feel like I was like, okay, I have eaten. Now I'm ready to take a nap. So I didn't have any of those things. And I wasn't craving and I wasn't really hungry. I actually had to force myself to eat that first 7 days. And that for me was amazing. And then I got back into the gym. And even though I wasn't eating as much, I didn't feel like I was starving myself. I didn't feel like I had no energy. So it was amazing for me. I love it. I still feel good about it. I lost 8 pounds. So my jeans are fitting good like I like them to fit. So, and it never really was about losing the weight. For me, it was more about feeling better and being able to have that focus. And so, there was no bloating, and that made me um, really want to do and stick with the products. So that's pretty much it. And I've been consistent with it. I've introduced it to several of my friends. I have a couple of guy friends that started to taking the product. They bought their bikes from me, and they loved it. They thought that the product would help them in ways that they hadn't felt before. They too were getting quality sleep. They a couple of them had high blood pressure issues, and they did not want to take their high blood pressure medicine, but they noticed that with the consistency of taking the Unimate that they would be consistent on checking their blood pressure remains good. Within 7 days, it changed things for them.
So you mentioned a couple of things here that I want to kind of peel back the layers of the onion real quick.
Okay.
You mentioned that you're caffeine sensitive, and I get asked that a lot. A lot of people are saying, I'm caffeine sensitive. I'm caffeine sensitive. I don't think I can take this.
Yes.
I want to add to that. You guys can't tell, but in my mug right here is a packet of Unimate. It is 6:20 here in Denver, Colorado, and I'm drinking Unimate. I would never drink a cup of coffee at 6:30 at night, 6:20 at night. I would never do it, but I'll drink Unimate. In fact, I can't imagine doing a live stream without a Unimate. I just know it makes me that little bit more crisp. And so I think it's interesting that you said that you are caffeine sensitive and you do drink this and you're not affected like you would be with coffee or soda or something like that.
Absolutely. I actually have, I'll drink this all the way up till I go to bed. And it's usually sitting on my nightstand. If I haven't finished it all, then I get up in the morning and drink the rest of it. But that was the good thing for me. I've never been able to drink anything with caffeine. I'm not a tea or coffee drinker or Coke products. I didn't drink any of it. If when I did, it was maybe a Sprite. But that I don't even have a craving for a soda at all. So this is what I drink, the Unimate and water. So that was one of the main things for me that I was really, really concerned about was being caffeine sensitive and wondering if it was going to keep me up all night or have me bouncing off the walls throughout the day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dr. Tiff, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm so happy
she connection is giving her a hard time.
You can't hear me?
You there, Dr. Tiff?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yep, there you are. We can hear you. Yep.
Okay. No, I'm glad she brought up the caffeine sensitivity. So I'm so glad you brought that up because that's something everybody complains about. So nope, nothing else to add.
A lot of concern about that. And I mean, I hear it. I literally would say that I hear that every day. Literally would say that I hear that every day. I'm caffeine sensitive. Guys, the caffeine that you've been drinking out of Coca-Cola, that's not natural. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So there's a big difference when it comes from a leaf. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and shut your camera off, Andrea. We're going to transition over to let Dr. Tiffany explain kind of what the problem is, but will you stick around for us? And I'd like to bring you back at the end to see if there's anybody that has any questions for you. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'll be here.
Andrea, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was pretty awesome, Dr. Tiff. Talk to me, Goose. Do you want to tell us what is going on? Why are we sick?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me there, Jim?
I can. I can.
Okay, good.
It's in and out, but you're there. You're there.
Okay,
We
great,
can
great,
see
great,
you.
great. I mean, if it's any shock, I don't do well with this. So, okay. Okay. Let me share my screen. All right. So the problem here is that 93% of Americans are struggling. They're struggling with their metabolic health and they don't realize they are. You're still with me, Jim, right?
I am. I just turned my camera off because I tend to block off part of that screen. Yes, I'm right here.
Okay. And so diabetes has been growing out of control to where you have 30.3 million people struggling. And this was based upon 2022 data. That's 1 out of 10 people. And then 1 out of 4 don't know that. And then pre-diabetes, that's before we get to diabetes. Okay. 1 million people, 9 out of 10 don't even know they have it. It's still the number one killer. And unfortunately, the drug that doctors are used to prescribe to try to decrease this risk only decreases it by 1%. But if you actually make the lifestyle changes, you can actually decrease your risk by 39%. That's a huge difference. 1 versus 39%. I mean, what are we doing? Unfortunately, for most doctors, for me, we get into that prescription cycle. You come in for a condition, here's the medication to use, because I don't really believe that you're going to be able to make the lifestyle changes because I've not seen anybody do them. And you know what? You come in 3 months and your numbers are higher and you need another medication or increasing the dosage. And after a while, I got tired of doing that, just like I said earlier, and I wanted to get to the root cause. That's when I ended up getting into lifestyle medicine. The big thing for me is that I believe that our genetics are not the end all be all. I think of our genetics like a land that we're given. And if you till this land, take care of your lifestyle, you can actually yield good fruit. You are not bound, you're not a victim to your genetics. So why does any of this matter? Why are we talking about lifestyle changes or metabolic health? It's because insulin resistance is at the root of that. And then on top of that, over half of all people in the world are struggling with it. And so understanding that, it's important to see the symptoms. Seeing the symptoms like skin tags or dark patches on your neck, that's actually signs of overgrowth of insulin, because then that's where it grows into those skin tags or those patches. You have irregular menstrual cycles, inability to lose weight, specifically around the middle, cravings for sugar and salty, brain fog, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, erectile dysfunction. I mean, so many things have insulin resistance sitting at the middle of them. So what is insulin resistance? Insulin is a hormone that you don't necessarily just have to take. We actually make insulin. But for our type 1 diabetics, they actually need some insulin. But this has been the standard of treatment for even type 2 diabetics when their problem is more insulin resistance. So again, doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, right? So we have this hormone and it does a lot of things, but we're going to focus on it's delivering energy to the cells, storing excess glucose as fat, and then regulating blood sugar levels. And I love this picture here. This gives a good example of how insulin actually does its job. It's trying to push in glucose into the liver, the muscle, the fat. Well, when your cells stop listening because you're developing insulin resistance, which can occur, and we're going to talk about that. That's the next thing I'm going to talk about. When they stop listening, it's trying to push in something that's not getting into the cells, and that glucose is sitting out in the bloodstream. And then it can get stored as fat. Okay. So what causes insulin resistance? Well, one of the ones we're going to focus on is too much insulin in the bloodstream. Inflammation plays a role with this, but we're going to focus on this because we have control over what we put in our mouths, right? And so what causes too much insulin? The food we eat and drink, okay? Now, when you look at a global nutrient database, 3/4 of the world is actually eating a lot of carbohydrates. And why does that matter? Is because carbohydrates get broken down into glucose the most. Protein gets broken down into some glucose and fat negligible. So when you release and get broken down into glucose, your pancreas then has to secrete insulin to bring that glucose into the cell, like that little black insulin man was trying to do, okay? And so this is a nice little picture that I like to show. Your insulin level at the beginning of that is low because, one, you've been sleeping all night. And so you've been able to fast. You haven't been eating unless you wake up in the middle of the night and snack. So you wake up and your insulin level is low. And then when you have your first meal, because we're taught breakfast is the most important meal of the day, you know, that was pushed by Kellogg's to get us to take cereal. And so we're eating that high sugar cereal. We're eating the toast, the oatmeal, all these carb heavy meals in the morning. And what it does is it kicks up glucose, because I told you how that gets broken down into glucose the most, and then thus insulin gets released. And of course, whenever we do something, we do it well. So our body releases more insulin than we may need. And then you turn around and have your snack. And if it's carb heavy, you're going to make another insulin spike. Same thing with your lunch, your sandwich, your wrap is going to make another insulin spike. And then your afternoon snack, because now you're having a slump because your sugar is dropped and you want that hit again. Now you're going to have another insulin spike because of that glucose spike. And then, you know, if you have a dessert, same thing. The point is the insulin does not come all the way down to baseline, where it was when you woke up in the morning. And so part of the problem is our carbohydrates have been stripped of their fiber. And so you're looking at things more like white rice as opposed to brown rice. We're missing the fiber that was there to protect us because we need it. It helps with our digestive health. You have your insoluble fiber that actually cleans out the gut like a straw broom and allows those cells to regenerate. And then you have the soluble fiber that actually breaks down into something that decreases inflammation. But what it does is it decreases the insulin in your cells. It allows your cells to become insulin sensitive is what it does. And so that's huge when you're dealing with insulin resistance. And I say it's not your fault entirely because these processed foods, nobody needs to be eating them. In fact, I just looked at a study that came out yesterday. And what it saw was that it's not just the processed foods, it's the packaging of the processed foods. It's the plastic. All of that in there is actually increasing our risk for cardiovascular disease. And so this is not new stuff, people. There's extra sugars in here to make this addictive. There's colors and dyes in here that are banned in other countries. Nobody needs to be eating this stuff that's sitting in the middle of the grocery store or at the checkout counter. Nobody does. So 5 things you can do immediately. One of them is don't eat any of that processed foods I just said, right? But also trying to put your protein and veggies first, so that way you eat less of the carbohydrates. But when you eat carbohydrates, trying to eat whole grains, okay? Doing your exercise. I saw another study, and it was talking about actually how doing activity improves things like, you know, the big C, you know, everything everybody's worried about, cancer. And so actually, if you include things like resistance training, Pilates, even Tai Chi, even simple activity actually plays a big role in bringing down those glucose levels. High fiber, increasing the fiber is great because we talked about why that's important already, and fasting. And if you can't do missing a meal like dinner or breakfast, then just some time-based eating where you aren't snacking between your meals, that it makes a huge difference. And so this cute little fasting little layout, I like to look at the part where you get past the 16 hours because that's what you get when you miss breakfast or dinner. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to tap into autophagy. And that's when you can remove damaged cells and improve repair processes. This is where things start to heal. You tap into your body's own healing power by just shutting down when you eat. And so what if there were things that made these 5 things easier? So as a physician, I would talk about these things. I did. But unfortunately, I didn't have people that could be consistent. They may make the changes for a month or a couple of weeks, but then they fell off the wagon. And then it became, oh, a keto diet doesn't work for me. Oh, fasting doesn't work for me. No, it does work. You just need something to stay on it and hold the track. So Big Pharma figured this out too. And so they actually came up with something that mimicked what a hormone is we already have, the GLP-1. And that would be your Ozempic and Wegovy. And they made those shots for that. Well, the natural GLP-1, what it does is it boosts, it turns off the carb noise and the carb cravings, but it also decreases how fast food moves through our gut. That's what it does. That's what that hormone does. So we don't want to overeat. Okay. Well, the shots, they do the same thing, but they do it at an astronomical level. And then they come with baggage. That's the side effects. I like to call that baggage. So that would be like blindness. That would be like thyroid cancer. That would be gut paralysis or gut perforation, meaning a hole in your gut. Gut paralysis, meaning your gut doesn't work as well. And Jim likes to show this study where the gut paralysis can happen 5%. That's 1 out of 20 people. So yeah, that's scary, right? But then after 2 years of being on the injections with all that baggage, the things that you're taking them for, how they decrease carb cravings, stop working as well. So you end up needing a higher dosage or a different medication altogether, right? Which is what? More side effects. And then dose interactions if you add something to that, right? Drug interactions. And then on top of that, after 1 year, you actually have muscle loss and bone loss. And, you know, we kind of need our muscles and our bones. So what would be ideal is trying to boost your GLP-1 naturally. Good thing with the Unimate, which is in the yerba mate blend tea that we drink, it does that. It boosts that naturally without needles, without side effects. And then, of course, you get the balanced part of this that brings us back to fiber. So why am I speaking up? Is because there's great studies, there's great science talking about the chlorogenic acid that's in the Unimate, the ferulic acid, the theobromine, the saponins, all that helping to boost your GLP-1, the short chain fatty acids that happen with that soluble fiber as it ferments when it's in your gut, and how that actually decreases inflammation. That's huge, okay? And then the great reports we get from people. This makes my day every day. Because you know what, being a doctor, I never saw this. Practicing and writing prescriptions, nobody would give me these types of results. Not nearly as much, though. And even when my internet isn't working, I still feel like a superhero. But I will get this together. This isn't okay. So I am literally just a doctor who's tired of writing prescriptions. And this is where you can find me: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And back to you, Jim.
Well, Dr. Tiff, that was amazing. And you got me going down that path that today I've actually got it loaded up. The studies that she was talking about are right here. Where did they go? I've got them here. So Dr. Tiffany was just talking about some side effects, some pretty nasty side effects with those GLP-1s. And I figured I would show them right here. So this one, guys, I found this on NIH. It's an official website of the United States government, PubMed, GLP-1 receptor agonists and the risk of thyroid cancer. It's a real thing. In fact, if you go over to the website for Mounjaro, for Ozempic, for Trulicity, they say on their homepage, thyroid cancer is a possibility. Well, here it is right here. This study looked at it. What was the real chances? We have a 58% increased risk of thyroid cancer and a 78% increased risk of medullary thyroid cancer. Those numbers are real. And then this one over here, gastroparesis, again from PubMed Central. Oops, that was not it. Was not there. I'll have to bring up the other one. I thought I had it handy. Obviously, I didn't, but it's a 5.1% risk of 5.1% of the people that did those got gastroparesis. That's 1 in 20 people. That's paralyzing in the stomach forever. You don't really undo that. It's forever. That's awful. Thank you, Dr. Tiff. God, I love the way you do that. She does it easy, right? She makes it so that I can understand her. I want to bring in Kim. This lady is nothing short of amazing. I've gotten to know Kim a little better over the last couple of months because I talk to her somewhat frequently. Kim, would you tell us your story? How did you come across the product? When you came across it, what was your health like? You know, where did you start off? Where are you at? Kind of just tell people your story.
Well, I was a 5'3", 59-year-old female weighing 291 pounds, miserable. You can imagine how I got around. I did not.
Hey, Kim, real quick. Kim, scoot the camera down. Just there you go. There you go.
That okay.
I felt like we're doing this.
I was literally miserable. That's what I was. Could no longer get out, go with my husband, and do things that we love to do. I couldn't walk. If I did, I couldn't breathe. It was a good thing I had a job where I could sit down and do my work because I couldn't stand. My hips hurt, my back hurt. You know, every joint I had hurt. I tried not to drink too much at work because I hated the long trip up front to the restroom, which wasn't really that far at all. And by the time I got there, I actually felt like my heart was going to explode. That's how bad it was. I would stop on the way back, try to find an excuse to, talk to somebody to give me a little time to rest before I went back. A coworker of mine, she would look at me and she'd say, "Kim, are you okay?" And I would say yes. My legs, I could not stand for you to, if you even took a feather and raked over them, I would squall. I just couldn't stand it. My kids have kids of their own. All of them were into sports. They would call me and ask me to go. I would literally start thinking up excuses why I couldn't go. It was too hot, too cold. It was going to rain. I knew I couldn't climb on the bleachers. I did not dress very well. I let myself go terribly. I would wear sweatpants all summer, the chackiest shirts with holes all in it. Didn't care anything about going shopping. You know, who looks good in a 4X in my eyes? Didn't want to take the chairs with me because every time I would sit down in it, I would turn to my husband and ask him, do you think this is going to hold me up? And he would say, well, Kimberly, I hope so. So I didn't want to embarrass my kids, you know, going to the games looking like I looked, especially, well, I just didn't care anymore. I just almost given up. And I saw Sheena and Michael on Facebook, and they were talking about the Feel Great system. And I thought, well, you know, I kind of came in on the tail end of it, and I'm going to text Sheena. I'm going to, you know, ask her about it. Well, she sent me a big long message and tell me how it worked and how much it was. Well, I kind of shoved it off. You know, I went another month eating all the bad things that you could eat, drinking all the bad things that, you know, were for you. So I would literally sit here and say, you know, Lord, please just send me something to help me. I want to feel better. And of course, the impatient person I am, I would wait, you know, a week or so, and I'd go right back to what I was doing because I wasn't getting the answers. So every night, you know, when I would pray, I would still ask the same questions. Well, as I was scrolling on Facebook again, there was Michael and Sheena. And I said, well, you know, this just may be my answer right here. So I asked my husband, I said, what do you think about me trying the Feel Great system? They are having great results. Sheena's gotten rid of her stomach problems. Michael's lost a ton of weight. He has more energy. He said, well, I don't know why not. You've tried everything else. He said, I'll give it 2 weeks. That's what he always told me on every diet. And that's what it lasted, was 2 weeks. So I ordered it and I began doing it. And in the first week, I was coming up from the carport steps and I bumped my leg. And I said, oh my goodness, it didn't hurt. And my knees wasn't crunching, you know, like they were. And this was one weekend. So I got on the phone with Sheena and I said, Sheena, you're not going to believe this, but my legs are not hurting like they were. And she said, that's the inflammation that is leaving your body. And she said, her exact words was, hold on tight, sister, because it don't get nothing but better and better. So every morning I would get up, mix my tea, drink it. And I noticed every day I was doing a little more and a little more and a little more. Normally I would come home and sit down and not get out of this chair and I'd be saying, Tim, will you get me this or will you get me that? I get it myself now. I walk at work, what I consider a lot. I come home, do a few things, and I immediately go out and hit the driveway and walk 20 to 25 minutes. No pain. If there was a fountain of youth, I would almost promise you this is what's in it. I mean, it's amazing. I just can't thank y'all enough for introducing me to this stuff. It's amazing.
I didn't expect that. That was pretty powerful.
Well, that was my life. You know, I didn't have one anymore. I was small my whole life until probably in my 40s. and I started gaining weight, and I just could not. I had no willpower to get it off. I started the end of January. I think it was January the 23rd at 291. I talked myself into going over to my sister's, which I still do, and weigh. The first week it went down to 281, and I said, "Hey, we're on to something. Maybe this is going to work." And from then on, it was like 4 pounds a week. I had a couple of 5 pounds a week. I think I had a 2 pound week, but mostly it's been 4 pounds a week. And as of last Saturday, I weighed 234.
Wow. Yes, I love that, Kim.
I feel better than I have since probably my early 40s. It's amazing. I'll never be without it because I never, ever want to go back to the person I was. And that's pretty much it. And that's where I am now. And I'm going to keep on going. I would like to get down around 70 more pounds. And I can do it with the help of the Feel Great system.
You can't see it, but you're getting a lot of love on TikTok right now. Love this for you. This is you're getting a lot of love. That was pretty powerful, Kim. I felt like I was getting to know your story. I didn't expect any of that.
Well, that and it's all the truth. Every bit of it's the truth.
I'm so happy you shared that because I think that's real stuff. As a mom going to these games, all eyes are on you when you're representing your kids. And it is, I mean, I even think about it. I don't want to look like a mess. So I can understand that type of thinking.
Well, kids these days are not like it was when we were, younger. And I could just see, people telling my grandkids, I've heard it myself, your Nana's fat, and how does a kid respond to that? And I did not want to embarrass them.
Yeah. But look at you now. What an example you showed.
I love this. I love it. I love your story. I love it about 1,000 times more.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kim, I'm going to shut your camera off, but I want to bring you back here. I'm going to blaze through
Okay.
the how we use the product. I want to explain how to use the product for everybody who's listening right now, and then I want to bring you back in here to answer any questions that anybody might have for you. Is that okay? Hang tight for us for a little bit.
Yes, that will be just fine.
Okay, Kim. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I feel like I already kind of know the stories coming in. I didn't know that. That was a lot. Okay. And I was going to go through a lot of science. I keep saying I'm going to go through a lot of the science, and I just don't feel like there's enough time for me to go through the science. So I'm going to blaze through some of the hot topics with this product here. We have two different products. The first product is called Unimate, and the second product is called Balance. Unimate is a yerba mate extract. If you're unfamiliar with yerba mate has been pretty widely consumed for the last 500 to 1,000 years. It's been pretty heavily industrialized in North America for about the last 120 years. Now, yerba mate, the indigenous people of the regions of what are now Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay would say, and pieces of Uruguay, small parts of Uruguay would say that yerba mate gave them an amazing boost of energy. It made them feel it was an appetite suppressant. They referred to it as the drink of the gods. Literally, they thought it was the drink of the gods. It's still the national drink of Argentina. It's the most widely consumed drink in South America. Now, a lot of those things the feel great side of yerba mate, we can attribute to something called chlorogenic acid. It's this polyphenol that's in vegetation. We can get chlorogenic acid in a lot of things, apples and pears, and in fact, it's most abundant in coffee. And why do I bring that up? Well, chlorogenic acid's been shown to lower blood pressure. It is an appetite suppressant. It's been shown to act in a similar way to metformin. It's an anti-inflammatory. We just heard Kim talking about how her inflammation went down almost overnight. Well, that is one of the things that chlorogenic acid does. There's also some other things in this tea in yerba mate, like theobromine, and theobromine has been shown to stop the crystallization of the uric acid, things like gout and uric acid kidney stones. And also, if you've ever been told that you were sad and need some dark chocolate, it'll make you happy. What's in dark chocolate that makes you happy is theobromine. There's mate saponins, there's antioxidants, there's all sorts of wonderful things in yerba mate. Well, Unimate is a yerba mate extract. Unicity still purchases the leaf from the original farmers in South America. They're still being hand harvested. It's a trained eye to know when the leaf is ready to be harvested. They're still hand harvesting it. They still fire roast it in a very similar way to the way that's always been done. That's really kind of the only way to get the nutrients out. Then they stop the traditional process and they extract the good things like chlorogenic acid and theobromine and the mate saponins and the antioxidants. They extract all of those and they concentrate it. And then they purify it. They get rid of the things that we don't want, like heavy metals that occur in plants and vegetation. And then they get rid of pesticides and those types of things that we really don't want. And they flavor it with lemon rind, so it's actually all natural flavoring, and then they sweeten it with stevia. And what we have is an all-natural product that's absolutely amazing. It lifts the brain fog. It gives you that boost of energy. It's an appetite suppressant. But more than anything, we heard Dr. Tiffany talking earlier about GLP-1s. Dr. Ben Bickman is a professor of cell biology and physiology at Brigham Young University. He oversees the Laboratory of Obesity and Metabolism. The reason I bring him up is Dr. Ben Bickman has studied this particular product. And I'm going to play this little clip of Dr. Ben Bickman. Well, I'm going to try to. Let's see. There is the product page. All right. I want to play this clip of Dr. Ben Bickman talking about Unimate.
That I'll be sharing at a meeting in March in Las Vegas is that this yerba mate supplement called Unimate also increases GLP-1. We found in this experiment we did, the GLP-1 levels went up by about 70% in a fasted state, which is pretty considerable.
That's pretty massive. Unimate increases GLP-1 by up to 70% during a fasted state, says Dr. Ben Bickman, professor of cell. He studies that. That's what he does for a living. He's dedicated his life to that. Now, our second product is called Balance, and Balance is a patented blend, and I say patented, there's 4 different patents on it, of 7 different plant-based fibers, and it's paired with a multivitamin. Now, fiber has been long known to reduce cholesterol, and multivitamins have been long known to lower homocysteine levels. Put the two together. That's what Balance is. Balance was studied at the Cleveland Clinic because of that. They wanted to know, does that really matter? Does the blend of fiber and the multivitamin, is it really beneficial? Well, the Cleveland Clinic actually studied it to see if it was, and they concluded it was. In fact, they said such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. That is a big statement from the Cleveland Clinic. That's the top heart hospital in the U.S., one of the finest in the world, honestly, and saying, well, in a nutshell, it could lower the need for statin medications. That's a bold, bold statement. It was also studied at the University of Sydney, Australia, which is the home of the glycemic index. The glycemic index is a way to rate food to tell us whether or not, what the food is going to do to your blood sugar after it's consumed. So 0 on the glycemic index will really do nothing to your blood sugar. 100 will spike it really high and fast. For reference point, sucrose, table sugar, is 64. White bread is 100. White bread is worse than table sugar as far as spiking your glucose. So if you're like me and you think, I don't eat junk food, I don't eat sugar, all I had was white bread 3 times a day, every single day. What are we doing? We're spiking our blood sugar over and over and over again. The glycemic index would say, hey, stop eating the high glycemic foods and it'll help you control your glucose. More importantly, your insulin, what Dr. Tiffany pointed out earlier. Well, the home of the glycemic index is the University of Sydney, Australia, and they studied BioSlife, Balance, the fiber blend. And they found that it lowered the glycemic index for all 3 test foods, namely white bread, white rice, and mashed potato, from high glycemic food, meaning it's going to spike your blood sugar high and fast, to medium. It'll still do it, just not as bad. It literally took a bad food and made it better. They studied it a second time, this time specifically on white bread, and they gave test patients either 1 or 2 packets of BioSlife Balance. And they observed a 20 to 28% reduction in blood glucose. Those are absolutely massive numbers. But more importantly, since Dr. Tiff has told us that's insulin that we're concerned about, they observed a 13 to 27% reduction in blood insulin levels. Again, absolutely massive numbers. So how do we do this system? It's so simple. We wake up in the morning and you drink a Unimate. They're going to send you a bottle. Dr. Tiff, do you have your bottle? I always forget to have my bottle. They're going to send you a bottle just like that. That bottle on the back of it, it's got a line that says Unimate, and it's got a line on it that says Balance. You're going to fill that bottle up with cold water, tap water, whatever color, whatever temperature water you want to fill it up to, and you're going to add the corresponding packet, Unimate or Balance. You're going to shake it up, and you're going to sip on it, just like Dr. Tiff just did. Now, I'm going to be honest. When I drink out of that bottle, the tea, that bottle lasts me about 8 minutes. I drink that thing so fast, and we need to sip on it. Don't chug it. Sip on it. So what do? I mentioned I've got a big 30-ounce Yeti mug. I put 1 packet in here, and I fill it with hot water because I just don't believe you can chug hot water. So I forcibly sip it. When I'm done with that packet of Unimate, I immediately open up my second one, and I go straight into my second one. By the time I get to lunch, my appetite is way down. I'm going to have not a very big lunch. It's a natural appetite suppressant. That's what the indigenous people of South America said 1,000 years ago, and it is. And you'll notice that once you're actually drinking it, sipping on it. Now, immediately before your biggest meal of the day, and by biggest meal, I mean the one with the most carbohydrates, the one that's the worst for you, the one that has the white bread, the one that has the pasta, the one that has the pizza, the potatoes, the rice. Immediately before that meal, mix up a Balance and chug it, and then enjoy your meal. And this system, that is it. That is literally it. You pair that with a 16-8 time-based eating schedule, and you're just setting yourself up for victory. It is that simple. What questions? I'm going to transition over here to questions, and I want to bring back our 2 amazing guests. And right away, Ruth King over on YouTube asks, can people with a pacemaker use this product? I'm going to hunt Dr. Tiffany.
Yeah, you can hunt all you want. Now, so some things you may want to talk to your doctor about, but I mean, we're dealing with an herb. So if your doctor's been very specific about you not using caffeine, then yes, I would say go on and take the physician's desk reference with you. If your doctor's been very specific about that, I can't say you're cleared to do anything because I'm not your doctor. But have I had people with pacemakers using the products? Yes. Are they getting good results? Yes. That's what I can say.
And if you guys asked a question, if anybody asked a question and I missed it, please feel free to re-ask those questions. I kind of took us right up to the bell here, but we got a few minutes for more questions. While we're waiting, and if I didn't catch a question, I got locked into the 2 testimonials. Kim, you derailed me, and that doesn't happen. Andrea, you've now been on this for a few months. There are a lot of skeptics. This is my favorite question to ask. There are a lot of skeptics in the audience. There's a lot of skeptics out there. There's a lot of people who, listening to Dr. Tiffany, are still going to say, oh, this is hodgepodge. What do you say to that person? If you could give 30 seconds of your attention to that person, what would you say to them?
I would tell them to try it. You have nothing to lose by trying it. Try it. You've heard the testimonies, you understand the science, or you've been hearing the science of it. Now, all you have left to do is try it. That's basically what I've said. That's what I've said to people. You have to try it. You have to try and see it work for yourself, because I can only give you what it's done for me. If you try it, I guarantee you will feel better and see the results of whatever it is that you've had before. You won't be having that again.
You know what's funny is week in and week out, that is the same thing. Do it. Do it. Literally week in, week out. Everybody that comes in says, just do it. Stop wasting time. Just do it. You have nothing to lose. Kim, what would you say to that person?
Basically the same thing. All you young people out there that are struggling with health problems, being overweight, don't wait any longer. You know, life is way too short to not be enjoying it. And to all those that are my age and older, hey, you never get too old to feel good. So try it. Definitely give it a shot. If you don't like it, it's 90-day money back guarantee. So don't wait.
Over and over again. And that's what everybody always says. Ladies, you're both absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming in and gracing us tonight. Thank you.
Thank
Enjoyed
you.
it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Dr. Tiff. You know what's crazy to me? We're coming up on a year.
Yes.
We're coming up on a year. We think we started doing this in
Has
July.
it been a year?
I think we started doing this in July. That is crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like just yesterday you and I were kind of spitballing ideas about how to make this thing happen, and here we are.
Yes.
What do you say to that person, Dr. Tiff? To that person who's sitting on the fence? What are your concluding remarks to this live? This was an amazing live stream. This was amazing.
It really was. I kind of think they all are. That's how you know you're in love with what you're doing. What would I say? If you're really somebody, not just on the fence, but somebody with those horrible blood sugars or horrible blood pressure and horrible cholesterol, and you know you don't want to take the medications you're prescribed. You know you don't want the side effects. You know you don't want the family history that your grandmother had when she lost her foot. Mine did. You don't want that. So, and you're not doing anything else, try this. You have nothing to lose but to get those sugars down, that blood pressure down, that cholesterol down, and then some shrinkage. Who wouldn't want that? So you have nothing to lose. I mean, 90-day money back guarantee. We said that, didn't we? Didn't we say that?
Mm-hmm. Literally nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Mm-hmm.
Little or nothing to lose, everything to gain. And so I've been kind of beating that drum a lot lately, but I want to beat a different drum tonight, Dr. Tiff. I feel like people, and I kind of started touching on it earlier, I feel like people start to feel lost. They feel hopeless. They feel helpless. I feel like, with all due respect, they're afraid to go see you because every time they go to see their doctor, it's the same thing over and over again. You know what? Your cholesterol's still creeping up. Your sugar's still creeping up. We got to increase your medications. Maybe you're already to max dose. We got to add a new medication. And people become afraid. They don't want to go back. They become afraid and they start to lose hope. And once you start to lose hope, then it's just this downward spiral of, I guess it's just going to be like this until it isn't, right? And that's a very sad place. That's a very lonely place to be in. And what I would say I have observed about this, I mean, obviously I've got my own story. I have reverse type 2 diabetes, and I've seen no fewer than 100 people do the same thing. But what I would say my biggest joy is listening to somebody. What I just took from these two beautiful ladies was hope. It restored hope.
Yes.
If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling hopeless, you don't have to be. If you are broken, you don't have to stay broken. Dr. Tiffany, thank you. This was an amazing live. I'm a little bit rattled, honestly. So we will see you guys next week.
Yeah.